feels a tiny bit like poetry or journaling or just getting thoughts down. Is that something that
Oh,
resonates?
yeah. Yes, 100% because I love writing and I feel like I can get in this space where nothing else exists. And right, that's the flow state. And I just feel like I just can really just do, with my fingers and it just comes out. And I don't even typically care what I'm writing about, but it all makes sense when I read it back and I feel it. And I'm like, okay, I feel this. Like, I feel like it came from a good place and
Mhm.
I'm sending it out like that versus like when I try to speak about it, it gets all mumble jumble. But writing for me is like poetry. It is like that very fluid and flow state of my being.
Welcome to the Spirit and Soul Healing Podcast, where we speak about all things related to spirituality, soul level healing, intuitive guidance, frequencies, and much more. I'm Amy Sikarskie, licensed vocational nurse, past life hypnotherapist, master intuitive energy healer, and a clairvoyant physical channel. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Spirit School Online, where we offer courses in energy therapy, free guided meditations, courses and information around learning to connect in with your spirit guides, and much more. You can find me at amysikarskie.com and offerings at spiritschoolonline.com. Hi, everyone. This is Amy. Welcome to the Spirit and Soul Healing Podcast. Today, I have Marisa on, and we will be flowing into an energy therapy and reading session. Welcome, Marisa.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to hold space for each other while we're doing this too.
Oh, oh my gosh. Thank you. I feel
Mhm.
that. That's so sweet. Yes, and we just met and it's like already been such a comfortable connection. So,
Mhm.
thank you for that. When you said holding space for me too, like I just all of a sudden felt all this energy come in. So, you have a magic energy. I think just by you vocalizing that, let it flow through and me be receptive, and that's so powerful. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like it just like heated up too, like it's cozy and
Mhm.
comfy. Yeah.
I'm just smiling so big over here because just that share that you just presented came to my heart and then my solar plexus and sacral, and it just felt like really stabilizing. So we
Yeah.
briefly talked that you work with energy and you like this is not foreign to you.
Mhm.
Um, and it's so fun for me to be able to receive and feel that like you know what you're doing, girl. Your intentions and your energies are really strong. And the message I'm getting is it's clean. Like there isn't confusion when you state your truth and when you state how you're showing up and what your intentions and blessings are for others, they feel it. So this
Mhm.
is Archangels Metatron and Sandalphon, but we also have Raguel, Metatriel, Jeremiel, Zachiel, and there's another one here. Oh, Jedediah. He's one of my guides. I'm like, there you are. He's like, yeah, that's me. So yay, a whole team. And then your guides, your personal guides are here. And do you know, because we just met, but I'm seeing all kinds of star energy. So do you actively work with star energy, like starseed guides in that way?
Yeah, I feel like I work with a lot of planetary systems right now. I actually like very much work with the 12 a lot and like the Grand Central Sun energy. So yes, I like to say I'm very earthy, but very cosmic too,
Oh my goodness.
connecting with all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that so deeply. Like it's this warm, big smile comfort, but then at the same time, a part of me wants to start crying because it's just so beautiful. Yeah, you're cosmic and you're here for Earth. And I'm feeling that. I see that connection in your energy. It's so pretty. I just got back from the forest last week. We were in the trees and I was like,
Mhm.
oh my goodness, I miss this so, so, so much. And my star guides, I grew up as a normal human. I think we all do. And then we discover things and the deeper meaning behind. So it wasn't until after 2010 that I really recognized the way that I could describe my guides were more star beings, but they hang out in the redwood forest. So they're very connected to earth and the trees. And I sometimes think that's something where people like I understand the longing and the aching for another place and time if people feel like they don't belong on earth, but I've really learned to find comfort and I really feel anymore this deep, deep connection to Gaia and Mother Earth. So when you shared that, I could feel that within you. It's a really warm, nourishing, balanced frequency. And the message coming through is, I think, more for the collective because I think you understand, but we're here to help. Like we're here for a reason. We're here because our souls are dedicated. So those of us that might feel we don't belong here, but like it's so nice to actually be open to feeling the embrace and the love from Mother Earth. And so that's just a strong message coming through for the collective. And I'm seeing your team and my team smiling right now. Cause in my head, I'm like, well, this is supposed to be Marisa's session. And they're like, yes, but she's also in service. As you recall, Amy, she just told you. I was like, okay, so thank you.
Yeah, I almost like cried there when you were kind of talking about, wanting to be here, but then feeling called like to be somewhere else in like time and space almost. It was because I felt a lot of energy from like kind of like star seeds here on Earth, feeling that so deeply. Like,
Mhm.
oh my God. I just
Yeah.
felt like it in my heart when you said that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're both getting that message and filling into it. And it is the collective of the star beings. But they've joked around with me in the past. They say, oh, you have some beings that feel like they're more Pleiadian or Andromedan, Syrian, what have you. And they're like, but guess what? Everybody now can, after this life, say, and I'm also an earthling. Like I
Mhm.
also resonate with that. I had that experience, that notch on my belt. I've got that frequency.
Yeah.
They're showing a stamp on a passport.
Yes.
so, so the big message for everybody listening coming through, and then we'll flow into your session more for you. But the message is like, enjoy your time while you're here. Remember that everybody has a unique purpose for being here. Some of us are scouts and we come and we report back and we just check out the temperament. Other of us are more active and we're called to like go into it and really create a shift and a change in more of a way that humans would recognize, like they're talking about politics or schooling systems, things that are very grounded, I guess you would say. Like you could actually say, oh, you're a politician and you changed a law, or even an author and you wrote a book, or a speaker. But there's so many ways. And then they're showing me the mother and the father and how it all really starts at home. So they're saying this is a message to everybody, no matter where you feel called, that you want to go after this life or where you came from, that they want you to embrace this experience because it will be just a blink of an eye when it's all, looked at from a whole over soul level. So, okay, guys, like, thank you so much. And so let me tune in specifically for you today. They are showing me that you do have um, an intention. Like I'm feeling like there is a reason you're here for this session. Your soul has led you here. You're talking about it. You may or may not know the particulars on it, but it's going to flow through. So they keep showing you outdoors in nature, hiking. I see the sun, I see the trees, the communication there. And they're talking about being an advocate for life that has a hard time getting through or speaking for themselves. So that would be animals and nature. And then I also see children. So those who are, they're saying like, be a voice for the voiceless, or those that don't know how to put it into words. And that is something that you're doing by, number one, the energy that you embody, the light that you hold, and then number two, your example. So they show me you picking up garbage or talking to children and being like, hey, there's a better way of it, or can we rephrase that? And helping people understand how powerful words are, in the way of like you could select one or two words, which one fits the energy more appropriately. And it basically means the same action, but it's the energy behind it that's different. So yeah, and because we were out last night to dinner and and I heard somebody next to me say something and I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Just the way that they use that word, I could really feel their energy in a different way. And so there is a lot of intentionality to that. And so they're talking about being more conscious and present, and that you show that example to those that you're around, family, friends, clients, students, kids, like whoever you talk to and work with on a regular basis. So, do you work a lot with the public, or I mean, I don't we just met. So
Oh my gosh. No, it's funny you say that because we were just at a festival the other day and it was like a hipster festival and there was trash on the ground. And I'm like, felt called to just like pick it all up. And my partner's like, you can't pick up all the trash, babe. And I'm like, but I can when I see it. Like, I just felt really called and my kids were with me. I have 6-year-old twin boys. So,
okay.
just them seeing that. So it made so much sense what you just said. I'm like, oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
am like just doing it. It's natural to me.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that. And if we all, when we feel the call, whatever it might be, do it, could you imagine the big like effect that it would have?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Never discount what one person can do and then inspire others, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're having me look at your energy. And by the way, Archangel Metatron is here. And I always feel like he's more galactic and, like the Metatronic frequencies. I see this glowing blue and I see a lot of sacred geometry, but he says, but he's also grounded and funny. So he has a lot of qualities to him. We'll say he doesn't want to be put just in one way of it. But he's here and they're showing me a lot of blue around you. And it is that cosmic blue. And they're also showing me tons of trees. And I think we're going back to the energy that came in at the beginning of the integration of balancing, of understanding. And he's saying that some people feel that they're taking a step backwards if they, and this is new for me because I'm like, oh, really? If they dedicate themselves to the ways, he's calling it the old world ways of connecting with nature, that some people feel like they're taking a step back. And he's like, but it's quite the opposite because the new earth energy, he's like, look what you just said, Amy, new earth. He's like, it's about the earth energy and what can she offer. And she's already switched, flipped, or transitioned to that higher frequency. And so now we're the bridge that's helping catch humanity up to that in a sense. So he's talking about that, the cosmic energy. He's showing me the earth energy, and then he's showing me how in the other realms of reality and dimensions that are here, the animals are communicating and the trees are talking and the flowers are talking and humans are most humans are the ones missing out.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so you help with that. That's a big part of your mission here is to, you're going to hold space. That's just who you are. You hold that frequency, but then anything you can do to create programs and awareness. I'm seeing books or pamphlets and exercises, kind of like a bullet point guidelines to help people be more conscious and aware when it comes to the environment. And they're saying that you're not making it political to the point where it becomes like a fad. You're actually going ground level at the heart of the matter. So, in the world and in the media, sometimes they grasp onto elements of things and then it fades away after a couple of years. And so he's
Mhm.
talking about the foundation and what will stay and what is consistent. And it's a lot about health and nature. It's about the health of the human and how we are only healthy when Earth is healthy. So, yeah, that's a big platform for you, or soul calling that he's saying. And he's showing me that you've been on Earth for a well, let's not say a long time. You were on Earth at the beginning. Like he showed you as a mermaid. So I don't know if you have past life memories of that, but he's showing me the mer life. And that was right at the beginning. And then we come and go. It's not like we consistently are in a body for thousands and thousands of years. you come in and you leave, and you come back in. So, but you shook your head yes. And so those that are listening would not have seen your head shake. Do you have anything to share about your mermaid memories or?
I swear like I've been tapping into like Lemurian, Atlantis energies lately. Well, probably over the past few months a lot. And then when in regards to like this session that we're having now, I feel like we kind of may have met in there too. So it was like a little bit of that connection, but also I just have really felt called when I'm in a healing with sea turtles, like a lot of sea turtle energy and like just a lot of sea animals. And I was just in Baltimore, Maryland yesterday, and there were the dolphins. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, I feel all the love
Mhm.
from that timeline.
Mhm. Yeah, they say, "Do you know you're a natural animal communicator?" They're asking if you know that. So, you're natural.
I do, in a sense, I think I shut it off because I sometimes feel like I don't activate or strengthen that, but I do love when I hear them and I can connect with them. It's like, oh my gosh, I just heard you, you know?
Mhm. Yes. And it's not necessarily English. Like when you communicate, it's a heart space interaction and connection. And when you speak back to them, it's a vibration. They're saying like a tonality or a vibration that feels loving. They can, like just at the beginning, I mean, when you sent me that energy, I don't know if you realize you were sending me energy, but just your well wish, your greeting, I felt it so strongly. And that's what they're showing that especially the sea animals can feel you. Absolutely. And if you have the dreams of Lemuria, it's more than dreams. I see you traveling in timelines and going back to the mermaid you, and just like having that moment where you almost merge back in with the body, and you're flowing, you're swimming through the ocean, through the water, this little pool of water that I see. It's so funny because I'm like, I've actually seen this same pool of water in one of my past life regressions. And I'm like, did we live in the same physical location? Because I've seen this vision before. So
Yes.
oh, wow. Fascinating.
Yeah, I know. I felt it right there. I was like, mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, like really think we did, and they're kind of confirming because I had a session a few months back earlier in the year with my healer, and she was talking about how a lot of people that were in Lemuria are meeting each other again. So, yeah, the dots are connecting. So I feel like we've known each other, and I don't know the dynamics of how we knew each other, but they're saying it doesn't so much matter right now because it's about light workers stepping forward and coming back to reclaim the sovereignty of Gaia. So things got distorted over time, and we're here to help get it back on track. But she's already going in her direction. And so now it's kind of to realign the humans. And he's talking about the mental aspect of the generations that are really kind of like 30 years old and older. So underneath of that, they didn't really get set in the old ways. So they're new to it, but he's saying, but also they don't really have much to go off of. So helping them understand how they can get a footing and intentionally implement that intention. So when the soul says, oh, that is off, this doesn't have to be so hard and challenging, then they're going to be like, well, how do we redo the systems? How do we, healthcare, financial institution, the schooling system, all of like friendship, like all of every way in which we focus. And so then he's saying community. So your little ones, you're doing a beautiful job with them, and he's showing you're interacting with community, and you have a way in which you can help the children feel comfortable. You're inspiring them, but they already have it within them. So you're actually inspiring them that it's okay to be that way and to shine, to say, oh, well, there's a better way of it, or you might not understand, but, or moreover, they're saying you didn't mean to have it come across this way, but look how that affected somebody. They're talking about words and word choices and how the words have shifted over generations. And so we might have said something in the past that was very common in the lexicon. Just it was there, but now it hurts people. Like when you say it, not that it didn't back then, but now it's just so abrasive. And we're like, oh no, we're in a whole other frequency. Maybe 20, 40, 50 years ago, we would have been like, oh, that's a part of life. Let it roll off our back. But now we're calling it out. Like, that's not okay. You're hurting people. Like, we are flowing, he's saying, more into a space of unity. And it's not a place of like nitpicking. It's at a place of, so he's showing where people could get on a soapbox and preach it, but not practice it. So
Yeah.
now it's like we're practicing it by how we just gently switch our demeanor and how we're showing the children to be respectful, receptive, open, compassionate, and caring. Like in the past, like bullying, maybe generations in the past, it would be like, oh, that's just part of it. I remember the phrase like boys will be boys and they just,
Mhm.
whatever, they're rough and da da da. But the divine masculine's coming in now. And it's like there's a gentle side. And the more that we say boys will be boys, we're actually doing a disservice because then that's teaching them it's okay or it's actually expected. So the softness of it. And they're reminding me when our son, he's an adult now, but back in the day, he really loved the color pink. And we were like, that's so cool. Go for it. Pink, purple, all of it. But when I'm a kid of the 80s, like if a boy wanted to wear pink, he would get picked on. So it's already shifting.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is interesting that it's just coming through. I think they're highlighting maybe aspects of things you've already known or giving you confirmation of the ground level. How can we make that shift? We talk about spirituality and we talk about humanity, but it really begins at home with the little things, is what they're saying.
Hmm. Yeah, like I really have practiced that and embodied it now for quite some time. Not when my boys were babies, but over the years, it's like as you heal yourself, you heal them, and like they heal their selves, and then it's healing you, and it's really a beautiful just circle of evolution in the world of parenting within my own family now, and I
Mhm.
can see how like it's evolved because I have a 16-year-old daughter too, but she has a different dad. So it's so wild to watch all of the evolution and growth that I've gone through, and then my children, and the way that we practice being a family every day. It's a practice.
Oh, it is. It is. Yeah. And I'm hearing, this is important for all of us to understand that we are all working through this shift. And at the same time, as we're building the new, or he's talking about, they're saying integrating, we're integrating into the new timeline reality probability, which we are creating in a very peaceful way. At the same time, many of us had past life trauma. He's talking about the DNA and there's the healing. So it can be kind of like a challenge at times or a rocky road. But then he's talking about, but what's important? The awareness of peace and to say, hey, I love you. I'm always here for you, even though maybe this is a hard conversation. It's really emotional. But overall, it's that I understand and I'm not discounting what you're going through. And so open line of communication is what he's saying and speaking about. And especially it's interesting, like as your daughter's energy comes in, I'm seeing a lot of plant medicine. I'm seeing a lot of herbs and herbology. And so not quite sure if that's specific to you, but I feel like it's maybe for her that she has a past with that and that implementing or bringing that through when the time is right, if she ever feels inspired by it, have her look into it a bit more because it's almost like it's so natural. She just has to remember. She won't have to
Mhm.
learn. It's more of a remembering. Um, and so that's really, really beautiful. Today, they're definitely going to work on recalibrating your light body. They're talking about your energetic system that they say you are a channel. So you do channel energy and information. And this is a way to help calibrate it. So you're going to feel like, oh, okay, how do I get the energy to fluidly come in a way where it can be conceptualized realized and grounded and integrated and implemented. Gosh, 4 big words, but they all that's what they do. 4 big words, but they all have deep meaning. So how do we bring this information? And they keep talking about the tonality, which is the frequency. How do we bring it in? And they say tonality because they're like, have you ever spoken with somebody and you feel like they're not receiving? Like you're just talking in it and it's just going right by them or it's landing on deaf ears, it's like they can't feel it. So it's getting to a space and a level. By the way, do you already do sound healing, light language and toning? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's helping to open up the gateway, open up the light points and the channels so they kind of feel the information come in. And so when you incorporate that with the words, they're really going to feel it. But you do such a beautiful, like when you do your sessions and you're working and with that intentional way of it, I'm hearing and I'm feeling colors and I'm feeling and hearing sonar, like almost how you do hear the dolphin speaking. So it's the tones, but it's mixed with color. And then the words just have to be very gentle and they can almost be sing songy where you're singing the words. And the words are kind of like affirmation. So it's in a sense, if you were helping somebody heal, whether it be inner child wounds or trauma or just strengthening, I'm hearing you. Well, this is interesting how it's coming through. I'm hearing the energy that you send out your heart and your hand. I'm feeling it, but I'm hearing it. And then I hear the light language and I gently hear the word in English, or it might even be other languages from your past. Gaelic, am I saying it right? Is that how you pronounce it? Gaelic? That's what I'm getting.
Is that like Irish or no?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I feel silly that I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right because I've only
I
ever
think
seen
that
it
I
in
think that
writing.
you're right. I think you're
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a language that, oh man, when I tune into that for you, it goes like straight to the bones. Like I can feel it. So how fun for you to reestablish or saying a connection with that language. And it's interesting. They're saying it is a light language. It's a very close. They're calling it light language. So I'm feeling there's some strong power in the words and the message to reiterate what they were getting at is you really just have to say 1 or 2 words and it will be felt very deeply. You heal with words. Yeah, you do. So, yeah. They just keep showing vision after vision after vision. So, and that's like how I felt it right at the start. You just said a few words to me and boy did it, like I felt it immediately. So you're very clear in your delivery and they say it's a way that it can be clean and concise. So that's important for you, and your boys feel it too. They're quite different, right? They're showing me their energy is quite different. One is more, like, grounded and literal and very, like, the energy is very compact in his body, and the other one feels to be a little bit more not, like, daydreaming, but a little bit more expanded where he receives. So
Mm-hmm.
one is receiving and witnessing and viewing all the time things going on around him and flowing with it, like just flowing with it, not feeling he has to do much. Like that's his gift. And then your other one is like grasping almost like a scientist and pulling it and putting it into I see your yeah,
So
I'll
true.
like yeah, does he make lists and charts and has like journals? Like I see him like a scientist with books and he's got his studies written down.
Yes, Irie, the one I said he's going to be like an like a space engineer in his adulthood
Mhm.
or something. He's so smart. He works with numbers and he's very like intuitive. Very in tune and he's like all very analytical, just like you kind of said, but the other one is so grounded and like very like flowy with everything, like heart energy, like taking it all in and
Mhm.
that is wild, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they're saying compliment. They complement each other very well. And also they have a strong respect and they were like best friends. They've been brothers in other lives, but best friends for sure. Like I keep seeing a life where I feel as if they do look like biological brothers and they were best friends. And this would be in Europe. So it does feel Ireland, Scotland, like around that region. Um, and so, yeah, interesting that that region's coming in for you today. Powerful because they picked the right mama, they're saying.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so, like, my grandma actually is from Ireland.
Oh, okay.
I never really talked to her because she passed away when I think I was like 3 or 4. But her family, I don't know anything about her family either. So, but she is from Ireland, so it's
Yeah.
really cool that you picked up on that.
Yeah, it's coming through. And when we pick bodies and families as a soul, there's a lot that goes into it. But one thing is the DNA, because our soul experiences become a part, like the DNA holds that, but it's also our ancestors, of course. And so it's just a beautiful pairing, is what I'm hearing. So your body will remember. You
Mhm.
have it from that, and you also have it from your soul experience. So they're like,
Mhm.
they're being fun. They're like, congratulations, you did an amazing job picking the family and how it was all lined up and your team there. Have you ever read Brian Weiss and Dr. Newton's books about like life between lives and journey of souls and all?
No.
It talks
Mm-mm.
about their books talk about that, especially life between life and how we plan our life out. There's other authors out there that have it. It's just back in the day when those books came out was my first introduction into it. So it's always stuck with me how we do select our life and the different aspects of it. Some to support us with our gifts and others to push us into uncomfortable moments so we can heal it and get the strength from it. But yeah,
Mhm.
you're doing such a beautiful job. I'm also hearing goddess Sophia. Hearing goddess and Sophia, and I'm seeing you working with the divine feminine. The picture I saw was two hands out to the side of you, and you're literally receiving light codes. It looks like beautiful, starry energy just pouring down into your palms, which you can then put at your heart, absorb, and then share with others. So when I say that you've been here since the beginning, they're like, yes. And it's been coming in and going out. Like you touched down in different times of the world where your light is needed, but you've also had those lifetimes where it's very much revered and accepted the goddess energy and the energy of love, unconditional love, that motherly love, free of distortions, they're saying. And so you're an embodiment of that in this life too. And all the qualities that you have are just so beautiful. Your energy is actually like super clear, like really clear. I'm looking at your chakra. It's very, very clear. There is something in your womb space. That's a sadness. It's like a sorrow. And I don't know, and you don't have to share if it was this life, but this life or past where you had lost like a birth. So you had a stillbirth or you lost a child. And that energy is still there because motherhood is so sacred to you. And it just means more than I can even put into words. And so that was very traumatic for you when that happened. So they are talking about some healing around that. Um, is it okay to continue? Would you like me to reel it back with this
Yeah, no,
topic?
I just do want to add, like earlier you talked and you felt my daughter's energy. For me and her energy, our relationship, it's very much been alchemy.
Mm.
There's been so much alchemy. So I kind of am forgetting what you almost said about her, but like it's very alchemical.
I
Yes.
feel like you're feeling where I was going to go because I didn't know if you lost the birth in this life, but it was a female. So now that you're picking, I think it was your daughter in the other life that you lost and now she's back. You had another life a long time ago where your physical body kept losing and most of them were females. And then you had a little boy, but he didn't survive long. So but she was actually with you in that life. I'm seeing she was a friend. But then it's interesting, it's so you both have such a deep soul connection because she was in a body as a friend, like a best friend, like a girlfriend, but her oversoul was like also there working with the spirits of these babies that didn't make it. So isn't that amazing? So there was that was the connection I was kind of like feeling. So she was around those losses. But you did not lose her. but she was with you around those losses. And that's something that in this life was very, like, I almost can't breathe because I want to cry. There's so much energy of emotion. It was very powerful for you to give birth to her in this life and for her to have made it, like, the birth, and to be here with you because you had lost so many babies in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm like crying. I feel like I could just burst into so many tears. I feel like she's become my best friend, and our time together in this life hasn't been the easiest, so but she's so strong, and she makes me want to be stronger and has made me want to be stronger in this life. And
Mhm.
just yeah, I felt that. So, and there's a lot that we could probably talk for hours about, but yeah, thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. They just showed me one vision, and I feel like it wouldn't come through because I'm not asking. So I don't feel like I'm overstepping because they showed it. So I think her soul is like, it's okay. Basically, she did have a life, a different one that was very, it was like violent. It was a very violent life. And so there's some trauma from that that she's healing, where she has to be scrappy and quick and like have her wits about her and know her surroundings. So that's a something that's a trauma from another life that she, it might, like, pieces of that might come through in personality and in situations. So earlier, a few minutes back, they just were showing, like, it's challenging when they were talking about that we're all healing from the past as well. I see that that's happening. So they're saying, but what a beautiful gift to have that awareness and to have you and your love and your patience to let her work through as she progresses. So it's sometimes, I mean, it's a lot for adults. It's a lot for me when I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a past life, then to not even know what it's about. That's even, it can feel more intense and that we're like a little bit out of control. So for her and for others, that's when they talk about journaling your emotions and what does
Mhm.
this feel like. And if you could visualize a story or a dream, what might be coming through, just to let it come in, because that's typically when it is like, oh no, it is a past life. But she's
Yeah.
going to do a beautiful job because I also see her where she has been a brave female warrior. And I'm hearing warrior princess. So she has had many lives where she was empowered and she's a protector of others. So she's definitely a protector of others. And that's going to shine through in this life. Yeah.
I feel that 100%. I can see it. I just have visions too, like you saying all of those things. I'm like, it's like a movie screen, just keep going.
Yeah, yeah, they're bringing it through. So it's so pretty. Yes, and so today they were talking about, like, bringing some love when they're working in the energy portion. They're gonna bring some love around your womb space to help calm it and a little bit more peace, and it was a part of you in the past that was longing to have children, and so it's like they're gonna go back through time, and I see you actually, like, it's your soul going back and saying, "Yes, in the future, you are going to." It was just the body and that reality. It wasn't sustainable. So it'll be some deep healing through timelines for you is a big part of it today. And then the recalibration of your energy field, like the activation of these points of light that are more out in the aura. And they're specific, it's a specific part to your anatomy that helps us stay connected with our soul and with our team. And it's like the star energy for sure. It's very cosmic-y. It's kind of like, okay, I've got the download. The message came through clear. There's no static on this line. So that's what they want to do. Just, go in and fine tune it. Your connection to earth is so pretty. Let me see. I see two paths. I see your energy flowing down. It's like a visual representation of your connection to earth. One is like your root system. It goes far and wide and really deep. And then there's a layer on top that doesn't expand out as more. And I know that these are the two different timelines for Earth. And so I'm just trying to figure out what's what. So 1 second. The one that's more expansive and far and deep is the past. And so you are helping to, or you're in that space where it's helping to connect the new reality with the human consciousness. And it looks like it's in its infancy. So we're at the beginning, and that's where we're building and we're creating that bridge. And they're saying, like, the history of Earth and in the past was a little bit more barbaric, and we're flowing into a space that is not that. And that could also bring about some uncertainties because at least we could say, well, I know the rules and I know how to live and I know how to be safe. And although we're going to a space that is more of unity and peace, the human DNA, the human consciousness might not understand what that looks like. And it can kind of get, my words, freak out a bit and be like,
Mhm.
wait, what? This is too
Mhm.
easy. What do you mean? I have to work for this. And they're like, but in the new energy, you don't have to work. Not like that. So you're here to usher that in and to share that for generations and generations to come. It's like it's starting right now. So, they do show your mother and your grandmother that those generations had an inkling of it, but it was also really challenging and painful in an emotional way to feel into it because what was happening in the physical world hadn't caught up and it wasn't available. It was almost like too much of a dream. So if they tapped into it too much, it could be really sad to them because they had visions of what it should or could be, but it wasn't time yet, or things hadn't caught up to that space, but now is the time. So you're also implementing dreams and visions of your ancestors, and we're able to live it right now. So many of us are ready, like all the generations right now, we're ready. And those that are older than us, they're so tired and maybe they don't think it could be, but it will. It'll surprise them because the younger generations, the youth, are going to implement it, and then they'll be able to reap the benefits and see it. So those generations that are older than us are going to start to feel all the labors of their work from the past come through with the younger generations. Yeah, it's going to be so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So how are you feeling with all this info, and do you have any questions?
Well, your energy, Amy, is very strong. And I feel like mine is like boom too. So there's a lot going on, but like all of that information, I was just actually I felt like it's saturating into my skin and into my heart and in my lungs. Which like I felt like a little bit of like I wasn't able to breathe when you spoke about like my mom and my grandma, like the maternal side a little bit, because I can see how they weren't able to kind of see fully. There was so much, just so much within their physical lives that was happening. And it just makes me feel so happy inside when you said, like, it's like, it's going to touch the generations and like it's going to bring forth the work that they were, kind of dabbling into unconsciously, subconsciously too. It's just beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You're so welcome. They want to share one thing with everybody. They're
Mm.
talking about back in the days, generations of the past, and homemade food and how much love and care went into it. And then we've gotten away from that with going out, prepackaged foods, restaurants, or going out to dinner at restaurants. Not that the chef doesn't have like intentions, but some restaurants they don't. It's just an action, throw the food together. So that was one way that our mothers and fathers, our ancestors, could share love and infuse the food because they were very present in making it, and we've lost that. But there's other ways in which it's coming back online, and it can be through food, but now it's even in a different way. It's intentionally speaking about what hasn't worked, and really understanding that. So the world right now is connected by technology in a way that it never was before. And so we can make communities online, and we can talk to people from around the world and see where is the collective consciousness at. And this can be, they're talking about like computer programs and people in the world of computer sciences and science. There's a whole career field in this that gathers the data, what's being searched online, what's being talked about. But collectively, like in private group settings and stuff like that, it's also coming through from a different angle. And that's how we're seeing, like, okay, we're all on board. Like, you can be across the world and speak another language, or it can be day when it's my night, but we all know why we're here. And so we're all holding that. And like, literally, the earth is saturated right now with the light workers. And so at the beginning, when you said, I don't know if we were filming at that point, I don't know if it was recording, but you mentioned sometimes we can feel so alone.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're remembering that we're not. And so podcasts and social media can help us find others and be like, hey, we feel you. Like, this can be a whole thing, but you're not alone. And thank you so much for being here. That gratitude. So yeah, they just really wanted to bring that message through. And now they are asking you about challenges or questions. Like, I feel like there's something you're working through, something sticky, or you might feel like you keep hitting a wall. So sit for a second and see if it's coming through, if there's a question or topic you wanted.
It's almost as if, like, I feel like the confidence thing and just feeling okay with sharing and speaking about it. And even in this type of setting, it's always like, it's so weird because I can be in a session and I can feel totally, you know, confident and okay. But like, if I'm asked to speak up about, in a community, I always feel like I lose my words or like I can't talk or like it's not okay to speak about it or I just get really nervous and my heart starts to race and it's just like, oh my gosh, I just feel like I'm like, can I just get past this? So that is one block of mine. I'm not sure if that's the one they're asking me for now.
It's related. Yeah, I'm seeing a couple things. First of all, I just edited a guest that will be airing in the near future, Danielle, and they were talking about her when she goes to the school board to talk about things that new ideas are just going to channel through. And I feel that for you too. They're saying, remember what it feels like to be as a space of connected as a channel and let the light come through. Then when you are in those places, you can just align and center within, and it will come through. And you don't have to judge or overanalyze it ahead of time or after. What's said is done, and that's what needed to be. So they want you to know that that's a place of empowerment for you, that you will be delivering messages for others. So if you're like, well, I don't know why that came through, but it needs to be heard. And the more that you work in your own space with keeping your energy pure and clear, which it is, and really strong, you don't have to question yourself. Now, as a human, we have our thing, like, we all do. I'm there too. So they're saying it's going to take practice for you, but that is something very important they want to share. And you're teaching your boys and your daughter to speak clearly their truth in a loving way, because if it's not in a loving way, it can't really be received. They're talking about earlier the energy, the frequency, how can it be received? um, but something they were sharing when you mentioned that was your words are powerful, and an idea for you, what you'd be really like, they're leaning towards really good, is putting it into written form. I see you putting affirmations out there and teaching people. They're very clear and very concise, just like it could be like 3 to 5 words in one statement. But I see you channeling through these affirmations and sharing them with others as like a monthly affirmation or weekly or daily or something like that, that's helping them to become more comfortable in their own skin, letting their own light come in, which can strengthen, support them. Because when we say empowerment, it's like, okay, what is holding us back from that? And how can we step into that? So, new earth energy, we're not forcing, we're allowing. And so, your messages that you channel through is going to come in an energy of calling in the soul strength and allowing it to flow through, where we're now embodying our light and channeling it in. So, again, the intentionality of the words that you use, the phrases, and how it appears is important, but that right there, I don't know if you've thought about it, but that's something
Mm.
that's a strong gift for you. That's almost like it's almost a soul calling, I would call it. It'll come in very easy, and you might say, "Oh, this is so easy. There's not really a place for it." But it's like, actually, there is, and it's coming through easy because you're supposed to deliver it, and it's not supposed to be hard to share your gifts. So, yeah, that's something they want to share with you. Um, have you already like, it feels a tiny bit like poetry or journaling or just getting thoughts down. Is that something that
Oh,
resonates?
yeah. Yes, 100%, because I love writing and I feel like I can get in this space where nothing else exists. And right, that's the flow state. And I just feel like I just can really just do, with my fingers, and it just comes out. And I don't even typically care what I'm writing about, but it all makes sense when I read it back and I feel it. And I'm like, okay, I feel this. Like, I feel like it came from a good place and
Mhm.
I'm sending it out like that. Versus like when I try to speak about it, it gets all mumble jumble. But writing for me is like poetry. It is like that very fluid and flow state of my being. And I've held myself back sometimes from doing it because, like you said, I'm like, oh, this is just, so simple and so easy to me, but sometimes yeah, no, I really do love that. I love writing, and it's been coming
Yeah.
up a lot for me to get back into it.
Now they're confirming, they're just like reminding you like, no, this is important. And they said, don't discount or think that you cannot write something out and then speak it. So I see you like almost like if you go to a group, like maybe it's a PTA board meeting or you're speaking, you're teaching or something, they're saying it's absolutely okay for you to get it out on paper and read it, because then it's just going to keep your human part on track, and then more emotion and energy can come through. So yeah, yeah, that's what they're talking about. Like you there's so many ways you could use your words in written form, and then even then reading it, and then because every time, so first of all, the energy is very strong when it's channeled through you when you write it down. But if you then add your vocalization to it and the tonality, and they can feel that, um, absolutely. So an example would be when people narrate a book and you might feel like, "Oh, I like this person's vibe. I like how I can actually absorb what they're trying to say based on the energy they bring through." That's going to add to your written words. So I see you writing powerful affirmations for others, whatever flows through, because it's not going to just be one thing. It's not going to be one frequency or one topic, and then putting your voice to it, wow, it's gonna be so healing for many. So, yeah, they wanted to share that. Yeah, they just wanted to share that, and I kinda love I'm seeing these themes that are coming through from the beginning of our session, so it's very important to know that it's, specifically for you, and they're saying they're not gonna waste the time that they have to give a message, so they want you to really take it to heart.
I've heard them say that. They're like,
Really?
why did you not say that? Why are you, I, yeah, yeah, I've gotten that message before, and I'm like, oh no.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so good. Yeah, they're so loving and playful, and they're like, "Okay, here we go again. Now listen, we
Yeah.
mean this. This is for real." So that's so pretty. So they're gonna bring through some energy for you that will feel more along the lines of a transmission. And I don't know how long it will be, but for listeners, I always shorten the time on the recording, so we speed it up on the video. And then listening back, put some music over, and so we'll flow into that space, and then we'll come back in and check in and see how it's all going. And you can share with others, and I can share with others how it went. Any questions before we flow into the energy work?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, beautiful. So just get comfy.
Okay.
So, okay, go ahead and relax. And yeah, speaking of, it's going to be a lot of Archangel Metatron, Jeremiel and Raguel and Sandalphon, you have Zachiel here, a lot of the archangels. And then I'm seeing the energy of I'm hearing collective consciousness within the star communities. So collective consciousness within the star communities and Sirian, Pleiadian, Andromedan, Lemurian, like there's all these frequencies. They're saying even little star nations we don't typically speak about or have a word for are here. So this is going to be more like an integrative download and transmission, and also bringing love and peace and comfort to your womb space and your heart. So, okay, it's already starting, and here we go. Okay, the energy is subsiding. So whenever you have a minute, come on back. Oh gosh, that was intense on my end. How are you
Yeah.
feeling?
I feel like I was in a bubble almost. It was I was not here.
Yeah.
Not here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Oh my goodness. I could just feel it coming in. Metatron's so intense at the beginning that the last time I felt it that strong was when I channeled Activating the Starseed, and I talk about it in the book, and his energy came in so strong that I felt like I had a fishbowl on my head and it was just like wobbling around. And so as I'm having this energy come through, I'm thinking, oh, Marisa must be like ready to receive, like, because that was a lot of energy. And I've worked, that was over a decade ago. So every time you work with energy, you get a little bit more acclimated. I'm like, no wonder your energy is so strong. Like, if that came in for you today, girl, I'm like, woo, she's on fire, she's got this. So that came in, and then they started working on your Merkaba. So I don't know if you
Mhm.
do you work with your Merkaba consciously, or
Um, I was a few months ago. I stopped for a while now, working with the Merkaba, but I was working with it probably for a year straight prior to that. But for some reason,
Mhm.
a part of me gave up. I don't know.
Well, it'll all flow as you're guided. What was interesting is like a part of it at the bottom behind you looked like old, rusted out, if we're going to look at it. So it was older, and that's what needed to be released, and then new light pathways implemented. And so they're working on that. And it also felt like it was holding you, for whatever reason, it was tying you to the grid of the old earth energy. So it's
Mm.
like I'm learning so much, because I was like, oh, okay. And then also it was more like you wouldn't have to get in your Merkava and leave. It's more like you activate it around you in the new earth energy, and it helps you connect in with what's around you. So we're just looking at things differently. Even when we say, like, even 20, 30 years back, what does it mean to be grounded and all that? But now it's so different because it's the new earth energy, and it's more like it's around us already, and that you implement this light coming through it and it activates, so you become more expansive. But also it's just like high octane energy, you could say. You don't have to leave like we did in the past. But then I kept seeing, when like towards the end, and what does it mean to ground or come back in the body? But it's more like bringing the codes into the body. And they were showing me cacao. Do you work with plant medicine of cacao? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, that's beautiful for you. Like, they even had me connect with cacao to as I was coming back at the end of that transmission, and that frequency coming to help you ground back in the body and integrate the work that they did. We worked a little bit at your womb, but they didn't highlight it for me as a visual, but I know what happened. But I saw kind of towards the closing of that, this energy of like really great sorrow and grief from the past life where you had so many miscarriages that you had held on to one of them and you held on to like all the visions and the dreams and the hope for that. And that energy was still living within your quantum field and had gone up from your womb into your heart space. And so they gently came in and like very lovingly, it looked like nursery maids, nurses in a nursery came in and took that energy to go and give it comfort and love and to help you finalize a release. And in that moment, I was like, oh, this I feel you're going to integrate and process over the weeks to come. So if you feel sadness, like a loss, it'll be a very cathartic cry and emotion that you go through. But this is what's happening. They were like saying that by you holding on to that from lifetime to lifetime, it created it was holding space within you that was almost disrupting the flow of where we're going. So it was something that wasn't fully healed that they're helping you heal. So just that came through, and then some restructuring at your throat chakra. I noticed that, and a little bit of up at your crown. It looked like foam, like sea foam bubbles, and they were just kind of smoothing and clearing that out at your crown chakra. And to that, now they're reminding me, I did see you as a mermaid with a whole pod of mermaid children. And so in that life, I saw you having a lot of children that you were teaching. They weren't necessarily like your biological, but they were yours because it was your pod, it was your class, and you were teaching. And so I was like, oh, how beautiful. Like that motherly love has just always been something that you exude and embody. And that's a strong gift. We'll call it, they're saying you can call it a gift, but it's who you are. So, yeah, you're embodying that. So it's a gift to others.
Mm.
But the energy was so, so strong. And I was like, whoa, where are we going? Like, I felt like I mean, I definitely had to ground myself coming back in. So,
Yeah.
yeah. How does that sound? It's a lot.
Yeah. I mentioned like I felt like I wasn't here a little bit, but I feel like a part of my human needed to step to the side because all I kept hearing was you're safe, you're here, you're held, you're not alone. And then just both of my hands, well, actually my right hand went to my womb space, and then like my other hand went on top of it, and I felt like immensely like heat. It was like I was burning up, like a little bit of transmutation happening. And now I feel like a heaviness almost, but I know this is it coming out because in this life, it's so funny that this always comes up about children and the womb space. And, I have had miscarriages and I also have had abortions. And I've tried to work through a lot of energy related with all of them. And I have had lots of intrusive, obsessive thoughts throughout this lifetime since I had my daughter, and she was 6 years old or 5 years old, and now she's 16, and my boys are 6. So it went away a little bit, and then it came back a little bit about like harming, like almost like the depression, postpartum depression,
Mm,
but like scared that I was going to do something bad, or harm
mhm,
somebody that I loved. Like those thoughts sometimes come through. So, you know. I it just feels like very comforting to know, and actually that I also know in my heart that there is like a lot of sadness and grief from some type of loss, and the loss that you mentioned, that energy has been there for a long time. And so I'm just grateful to share this with everyone and to be honored to be in this space, to be open about it, because I think a lot of us women, we go through a lot within our womb space and with children and with being a parent and a mother and all
mhm.
of the love and the fierce mother energy that comes up too. It's a lot. So
Yeah, it's a lot. I could almost cry. Like, it is a lot. And I've had experiences too, like, that I'm thinking about right now, past life with my daughter, and it all got activated when she was born in this life. And so that was something they were sharing with me is like when we have birth or a miscarriage or an abortion, it's like the energy gets stirred up. And sometimes it's so confusing because it's not just related to this experience, it's for many of us, it's igniting past life memories. So they're saying, find your support system and be gentle with yourself for this healing, but it's the old energy that has to come out, that's being and it's healed, and that fire is also transmuting it. So you talked about alchemy earlier and transmutation, and surrounding it with love. They're showing me that emoji that's the heart on fire. Yeah. So heart on fire with love, all that pure love to help it, and all involved through time and space. And the vulnerability is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, because some of these topics are things people wouldn't feel comfortable speaking about. But yeah, it's like, it's real. Like, it's such a part of the healing process for so many of us. Why are we ignoring it or being ashamed? So the more I think that we do speak to it, it allows other people a voice and for their own healing to come through. If this is something that they are working through as well, or that just, surprise, guess what?
Mhm.
This did happen, and now it's coming up for that love to be felt around it. Um,
Mm.
that was really powerful. Thank you. And the energy was so strong, because at the beginning, if anybody was to watch back on video, my eyes were closed. I couldn't even keep my eyes open. I just started talking to you, and my eyelids just went boom. And I'm like, well, she might have her eyes open. I don't know.
No.
And then partway through, they opened up, and that's when we started working with the Merkaba. Um, but yeah, so this is when you say you felt like you went somewhere, I'm like, oh no, we did. We totally time traveled. And
Mhm.
and so the way that Metatron's showing me is time and timelines expanding and contracting. We expanded, our light, our soul energy went through all these different timelines. And then as the weeks come on for you from here on out, they're going to contract a little bit. And within that, these awarenesses, aha moments, healing, like the little nuances will be worked out. And so let the emotion flow through. He was also sharing. Okay, well, this is coming. There's so much coming in real quick. If anybody wants to watch the video, it's easy if you go to spiritandsoulhealingpodcast.com, where I put all the videos. But
Mm.
Metatron was talking about like time and the soul, and how with the higher space and quantum, it's all connected. And by the energy work that you are showing up and doing and speaking about your healing beyond yourself, you're helping to heal collective, and also those that you were personally um, connected with for those moments. So um, that was also that self harm or harm of other energy that came through when you talked about it. They showed me past life. It was a past life, something from a past life that like got reactivated, where you were feeling like, oh, am I gonna have this choice point repeated, or it could have even been something that you saw in another lifetime coming through. So that's a moment where it's like, okay, it's almost sometimes when I have those moments, I'm like, it's kind of eerie or deja vu-y, that it's
Mhm.
like, wait, I've totally been here before. But I had a couple of deja vus last week, even that in the deja vu, it was going in a way I didn't want it to go.
Mm.
So then I was like, oh, I've had this before, but it went away. I didn't want it to go in. Now I feel very clear, and it feels healed and healthy. So sometimes our soul will work through timelines to reset things, so that in this now moment, we can go in a more positive direction or a more favorable direction. So if anybody had that, something come through that felt very heavy, that they are like, oh, I don't want this, know that you have the power to bring light to it, to alchemize it, and feel how you do want to feel, and let it flow through. This is where we step into our power, so we don't repeat the cycles and let the
Mm.
energy overtake us. um that one that was gonna come. I'm just like, okay, I'm a channel, it's all coming through that needed to come through for a reason. So thanks for letting me speak that, because I don't know that it necessarily was highlighting how you were feeling, but it needed to come in. So, is there any questions or anything you wanted to share?
No, just during that healing, also what I kept hearing was they were, and you were helping to remove unwanted worry and unwanted fear. So when you just channeled your message right there, those unwanted feelings that are connected with emotions that can be connected with your own and past life timelines collective, it's almost as if like I really felt your energy right there, dissolving some of those through like the words you just spoke, because I felt my own self, like it coming up to the surface, like that fear and the worry again. But then I felt it like kind of illuminate through like your words. And it was like, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling this. And then I felt like you said, take back your power and just like bring light to it. And so like that illuminated it immediately. It was like, phew. So I felt that.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, because as I was sharing it with you, they were playing the vision in my head. Literally, I had this last week. So then I was feeling all the emotions myself. And I think the energy of me talking, I was actually feeling it. And I think that it was channeling through so it could reset your energy field to that more favorable, positive, peaceful outcome. And like last week, it was the same day where I woke up and I heard that song, "It's all gonna be all right. It's gonna be okay." And I like woke up to that song in my head. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, why are you telling me this? And then as the day went on and my fears came up or my apprehensions, I heard the song again. I was like, all right. So one thing was I had seen this deja vu moment, which would not have made sense even 2 weeks ago. Like
Mhm.
sometimes we have these dreams and it's like, what lifetime is that? It can't be this life. Like none of it makes sense. But sure enough, it was. And because I was like traveling, I was in other part of the world, like everything. And I was, so then you see yourself in these dreams and you're like, why would I be there? And then it happens in life. And the deja vu moment came in. And I was like, oh, wow, this was this life. And I am a little fearful. And
Mhm.
then it was like, but remember, so for me, what I did is I was like, I didn't go into panic. I was like, no, this is coming through for a reason. I already worked through it in that dream that I had or what have you. So now I'm going to remember what I wanted. And that's what I was
Mhm.
holding and feeling in me when I was sharing with you that the fear just dissolved. And this is where we reset our timeline to a probability. And they say that's all it was. It was all a probability based on past trauma or fears or the past systematic way that we go in, but you're here to switch that and to erase it and say, nope, game over. We're not even going to start on that. They show me Mario Brothers. And it's like, what level do you want to go to? What world do you want to go into? No, we're going to bypass that. We already know that's not what we want. And boom, we pop to the next one. So
I love
I
that.
do feel that for you.
My kids are probably playing Mario Brothers right now, so that's so funny. I'm like, I can totally see that. I'm like, boop, boop,
Yeah, like, no, no, we're rearranging and let's grab a star and we're gonna
boop.
teleport. So yeah, oh, it feels so good. So they want to share with you about 3 to 5 weeks of full integration, and then 6 to 8 weeks from now, so just add a few weeks on where you're going to be like getting your footing and new inspiration and feeling like, oh my gosh, wow, my whole world was shifted and this is so cool. And I'm going to bring this through and that through. You're here to make a huge shift and a positive change. And they're saying, remember, Amy, because I talked about this earlier with a friend, it's not about like like how the old world would view success. This is about soul level success, spiritual success, like your goals and ambitions success. So don't use any of the old ways of judging that or looking at it, but it's going to be, how do you feel? Do you feel at peace? Do you feel in alignment? Is there any of that unsettled energy has gone? Because the unsettled energy means there's something to look at. And if it's gone, then it means you are in your flow. You're going to be feeling that so much in about 6 to 8 weeks from now. It's almost like you did do a time hop. Like you just shifted everything for you because Metatron's saying you are ready. They want you to also look at working with Archangel Zachariel, Zadkiel, Sandalphon, Raguel, Metatriel, and Sandalphon. Oh, the Sandalphon again. He already came in, but I know why. But Jeremiel. So Sandalphon is the angel that helps with healing with sound wave frequencies. light language, tonality, all of that. So yeah, of course, he's very strong. But these angels are going to help you because they have a frequency that when you align with it, it's just going to make it smoother and everything really clean for you. A direct, cognizant knowing where you don't have to question yourself. You're going to
Mm,
know. Okay. And you
okay.
might tell this to a friend or a family, or you might have said, if I told this to myself 5 years ago, she'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't even understand. And they might say the same, but you're like, well, it's just a knowing. This is what we're
Mhm.
doing now. So, you know, let it unfold kind of a
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Sandalphon was one of the first archangels, probably a few years ago, that came in for me. And he's very tall, very strong. So I am feeling very much, and I love sound healing. I love like the solfeggio beats and things like that, and
Mhm.
crystal bowls. It's so healing. Yeah. So I feel
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Oh, it's so pretty. And I'm getting for you that you would just absolutely resonate. It might be so overwhelming to you emotionally, but the sounds of the ocean life, so the whales and the dolphin, do they have sea turtle sounds? I'm sure they do.
Oh
Let's
my
find
gosh. I
it.
know. I need that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it's so beautiful. So I feel the energy, like them closing the space around, like closing your energy field and the work that they're doing today. It just looks so pretty, like they've wrapped you in light for integration. They already know you're gonna meditate and journal and write it all down, and you're super conscious and aware. So it's just a heads up for you of like that you're doing amazing and what's to come, and probably I'm sure that this episode will come out way before your integration is full. So, you'll listen back and and I'll get you a copy ahead of time too. So you'll always have like when you listen back, they're saying it's going to hit you a little bit deeper, like that aha. You're going to integrate it a little bit more. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, you're so on it. I'm getting you're here and you're living your mission. You're already in it. Yeah. So thank you
Mhm.
so much. And I feel it. And I just want to thank you from myself and everybody else that you're sharing some light with and positive energy. It's such a gift and it's so appreciated. Like it's very much felt.
Well, thank you so much. Like your energy in this space that you hold, and it's just been like such a gift and really, really healing and very powerful. Like I feel like I could like walk outside right now and do like a 5 mile walk or something, like it's just very expanded. I will say that. And so thank you for being so expansive and allowing this community and like this space for us to show up and be ourselves and be together because it's so important.
You're so welcome. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I really feel like the namaste, like I'm seeing the light in you and I really honor that. So thank you so much. Cause again, I'm like, oh, this is for me. I'm like, okay, guys, over the next few weeks, let me know how I know Marisa. Can you please remind me? Because we clearly know each other.
Yes.
Like I'm literally feeling that. I'm like, thank you. Like I feel like we're so sisters, like we're in our work, and it's like, oh, I recognize you. Oh my gosh, girl.
Oh,
It's not easy. Thank you so much. Right?
yeah. Yeah. I felt it all in here too. I'm like, okay, there's that connection, like that soul connection. It's right there, and it's like beaming like this bridge over to each of us. So it's like, ah, just
Yeah.
a breath of fresh air. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, before you go take your walk and all of that, make sure you ground. I think you are, but the cacao really is here
yeah.
for you. Even if you don't ingest, like just tune in with cacao, she's really here for you. So this is so beautiful. I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing such an intimate experience with everyone. And I know that they'll be feeling healing from it too. And thank you so much to our listeners for being here and for supporting the collective and all the light and the work that you all are sharing and embodying and holding for everybody. You're very much honored and appreciated and recognized. Like we feel that deeply. So thank you, everybody. And I'll see y'all again on the next episode of the Spirit and Soul Healing Podcast.